Hi. My first question is about health. Is health similar to manifesting everything else? I mean, if we're...
The same.
So if I've been feeling bad for the last month, let's say, body problems, it's a factor of what I've been thinking, feeling?
Always.
Darn.
Well, it's just being on the other side of the rumble strip. We've been saying for a long time that if you've got resistance and you don't know it, don't worry, it will get bigger. Because if you don't know it, then you're going to continue to think the same thoughts that you're thinking that are causing the resistance. And so these things are always true. You are always expanding, and your inner being has always taken the expansion, and your inner being is always calling you toward the expansion. So the more resistance you have along the way, the more your call toward that expansion will show up as resistance in different ways. It's not something to worry about. A lot of people feel negative emotion and don't even know they are. You put up with it because it becomes sort of normal or something that you're hearing or feeling so often. And so when it becomes more acute, like a physical sensation, then sometimes it gets your attention more.
Yeah, it feels like I've been off in the ditch past the rumble strip for a lot of my life, and
that's all right, because the good news is vitality and clarity and well-being are all possible in this moment, and nothing that has ever been before needs to affect this moment, because you have the power to find clarity and alignment and therefore allow energies to flow here and now. Now, the tendency isn't to do it now if you haven't been doing it, and don't be hard on yourself about it. It just means that there's momentum. A belief is just a thought that you continue to think. There's momentum in belief. And so sometimes it takes something that's a little stronger to get your attention, to cause you to make another decision. And those decisions have power in them. So don't freak out about it, and don't beat up on yourself about it. Just say, oh, under these conditions, because of where I am, I'm making a stronger decision. That when I feel the rumble strip, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to change the thought. I'm going to reach for a thought that feels better. The best thing is to try to get out ahead of it. In other words, when you go to sleep at night, during your slumber, the momentum stops. Your propensity toward a negative thought softens while you sleep, because momentum stops while you sleep. Because while you're sleeping, your attention is not upon it. And so the momentum does subside. Now, when you wake up in the morning, the tendency is to visit with the same people or return to some of the same thoughts. And so you get usually, we started to say up to speed, but what we mean is down to speed with what's been bothering you the day before pretty quick, but you don't need to. So when you go to bed at night, if you would just acknowledge there's going to be a clearing to a certain extent while I sleep, and momentum will stop, and tomorrow it will be easier for me to find things that feel good. And don't take the issues that have been bothering you head on and try to feel good about them, because you won't succeed. Every subject is two subjects, wanted and absence of what is wanted. So if you wake up and try to think positively about the issue that's been bothering you, you won't get past about one positive thought before you remember what it's really like, you see. So you got to change the subject. Get off the subjects that bother you. Get on a subject that is easy to feel good about. Because you could have 10 subjects and 9 of them bother you and one subject feel good, and you could focus upon the one that feels good. And as you focus only upon the one that feels good, or predominantly on the one that feels good, your vibration will raise, and before you know it, you're going to have a different vantage point about everything. So just be easy about it. Just be easy about it.
Even about the value of loving myself. If I didn't know how to do that, I forget that subject and look at something else?
Well, almost no one really knows how to love themselves, because you've been running around trying to find other people to love you. Standing in your head in all kinds of different ways. If I'm like this, do you like me? If I'm like this, do you like me? If I give you this, will you like me? If I'm like this, will you like me? And so you kind of lose track of who you are, because the more you're looking to others to love you, the more you're not in sync with who you are. We just said to you, don't take the biggest issue and try to make that one work. Take things that are easier and just try to become lighthearted about things. Look at things that are easier. Don't take life so seriously, you see. And don't watch television anymore. There's a lot to rail against there, isn't there? Esther gets up, she meditates, she dances to music, she gets tuned in, tapped in, turned on. She writes focus wheels. She acknowledges that everything is really, really good. And then, just to catch up, she turns on the television and forgets everything good in her life. You just got to decide, do I want to feel good or not? And if you want to feel good, do the things that feel good. It's that simple.
Okay.
And don't beat up on yourself if you miserably fail. That's step 5.
I'm good at beating up on myself, but I have to change that pattern by getting off it and enjoying what.
Well, you know what that means? You beat up on yourself. Do you know why? You beat up on yourself because you were born to be an uplifter, and that's what you mean to do. You were born to feel good. You were born to be of advantage to others. You were born to make a positive difference in the world. And your inner being sees you as doing and having done all of that. So when you choose to focus on yourself in some other way, that's the first and strongest way that you will cause tension between you and your inner being, because the opinion of you in that moment is so off kilter from what your inner being knows that you will feel terrible in any thought that even comes anywhere near that. You see what we're getting at? Mm-hmm. So cut it out. You can't go cold turkey on anything. Law of attraction won't let you. Law of attraction won't let you all of a sudden begin to think different thoughts. Law of attraction is going to keep dishing up thoughts that you've usually been thinking. You have to wake up fresh enough and sure enough that you want to feel good, that you're willing just to look in the direction of what feels good. Esther has been at this for so long, and we've been flowing through her for a very long time. And sometimes things just happen that get your attention, that don't feel good when they get your attention. And sometimes you put up with them long enough that they don't feel good when they get your attention, and you get some momentum going and it doesn't feel good. But after a little while, it becomes strong enough that you just make another decision about it, you see. We say to Esther on a really regular basis, would you rather be right or feel good? That's a good thing for you to ask yourself. Would you rather be right or feel good? Would you rather be right that you are a miserable human being?
Feels good. Sometimes, I mean, it feels normal.
Well, thoughts that you are accustomed to thinking do feel normal. Yep. But there are a lot of normal thoughts that don't feel good. But if you've not been paying attention, then the tension becomes more until you're asking a question like you're asking today.
Yeah.
That's all.